So I was at the team, and we were doing missions, and we were going after some real big bad dudes. And I have a ton of those stories, but I only tell like two of them. But this one story is important because it's who I am. So we're going to this house, we're doing the clearing, we're walking through, and we're doing all the stuff, but we're doing it real quiet because we haven't gone hot yet. So it's all like the cover, shh. We're just going through it super quiet. And I get up through this room, and I get up these stairs, and I take this right, and at the end of this hallway, I didn't know how fast I was going pretty quick. But we're pretty good about that and checking stuff, but for whatever reason, I went through the door, and it didn't have the number 2, so I was going out there alone. And out on this rooftop, so it was a door that opened out of the rooftop. And in Afghanistan, they sleep on the roofs all the time because it's really hot in there and they just want to be out in the cool air, and it's the stars. It's beautiful to sleep out there on these rooftops. Plus, there's the security points. So this guy was up there on security, pulling security for his family and for the compound. And he had the AK, and he's sitting there. And so basically, you see me, I have all the best equipment. The lasers, the nogs, the night vision, all the stuff. And I'm using some terminology that, but night vision, the lasers, and the gun, and it's totally prepped out my body armor. And we have our radios on the sides with the antennas and all that stuff. So if you look at me with this green glow in there, and there's all this tech and there's lasers and all this stuff, I'm like an alien being, I'm looking very high tech and very alien looking. And then I look at this guy, and in retrospect, I'm looking at this guy, and he's down there with bare feet and dirty and just raggy hair and his beard, and he had his one, that thing they wear. And I used to know all these things. I used to speak some of the language, but it's kind of washed all that out. But I see this guy up there, and he's laying there sleeping. He's just starting to wake up because there's some noise and stuff that's starting to happen, because even the animals start waking up in the compound, So eventually people start waking. And the guy's just getting up, and he sees it, and he's reaching up, and he's got his AK, starts coming up at me. But I'm already off safe, and I'm figuring I'm going. It was a split second. I set a record at Shaw's shooting, camp, the plate shooting. I'm on that top 10 because I'm a fast shooter. And so I'm sitting there just waiting. I'm just there. And dude's getting up, and he's swinging up, and I'm going, don't. And I'm just looking at him going, don't do it. I'm in my head, and I'm just praying. It's like all of it's going, all my energy is going to that guy. Drop it. And it's like such a close. And if he was just like this much further with that barrel, and I was just like watching all of it. Why was I doing that? No rules of engagement. I could have taken him right when I walked out on there because he was up there in security and had a gun next to him. Done. But I didn't. I was going towards him. I was still walking towards him, closing the distance. And then the guy just like right there, he goes, and he drops it because he saw it. So it's alien versus caveman. And I'm sitting there for about whatever seconds it took me walking towards this caveman as an alien. Different language, different religion, different culture, different everything. Super high tech, and this guy with dirt. Why was I doing that? For seconds, I was walking towards this guy. Didn't shoot. I could have. I was allowed to. Should have. I actually got in trouble because there was guys on other rooftops, and there was other stuff going on in the compound. And one guy, and I can't remember who it was. I could if I really thought about it. But he saw what was going on my rooftop. He saw across because it was only maybe as wide as this room. It's not huge distances. So he saw what was going on over there. He saw it. And when we got done with the whole thing, and the guy was cuffed, because basically he dropped a gun, and I kicked it away, and I cuffed him up against the wall. And because I did all the interrogations. So because I was an ASOT type guy, and I did all that stuff. So I was also the interrogator. So I'm talking to this guy through my terp. And because I was like that agency ASOT guy, I always had a terp because I was always doing this stuff. So he's my terp. And so interpreter. So he was the guy that did all the local Pashto, and I spoke some of it, but not all of it. He, I don't even speak very much at all. So team guy, hands up, and where's the bomb, and this stupid stuff. But I was talking to him, and he just seemed like a pretty good dude. This is after all the action, after everything was done, and everything's... So I'm just talking to him, and I'm getting intel, and I'm trying to work with him. And he didn't know anything. And the guy was like, he was not anybody we'd ever want. And I was like, just leave this guy. And then one of the other guys was like, no, we should take him, get one. You got a guy, and he had a gun, he was security. I was like, no, man, I was going to leave this dude. And so because had enough voice over it, because I was the interrogator, I was the guy doing all this stuff, but I was also the guy that ran source operations. So I was the field officer, I was a recruiter, and so I told them we need to leave this guy, and they did. And so we took off, and I, it was good, done.
You spared his life.
Spared his life. But it was seconds of me walking up on him. 2 weeks later, I'm walking through a bazaar. And if you've ever seen pictures of me, I have this big, bright red beard, unless I dye it. And over there, I dyed it a lot because I had to get it darker. But if you see me, I had a really red beard. And he used to call me Redbeard or Caveman. So it was always something about that. So 2 weeks later, 3 weeks later, it was a little while later, I'm walking through a bazaar. And I got this guy running towards me and he's saying something in Pashto.